So believe it or not, it's been 3 years, this is 6. It's been 3 years since James Gunn officially announced his DCU slate. And since that announcement, we still had 2 more years to go before the DCU would officially start. But now we're at the point where we're past the first year of the DCU, we have a few projects, we're going to our second year, and we're going to have a few more projects coming out. We obviously know so much more about this new universe now, but there was a time, not even that long ago to be honest, where we really didn't know anything. It was like, is this character staying? Is this canon? There's a fucking rumor at one point that George Clooney was going to be the new Batman for the DCU. And I don't think I've ever seen James Gunn shut down a rumor quicker. But he saw that rumor, he just paused everything. He was writing the new Superman script. He was like, alright, gotta pause that. I gotta shut down this rumor. Basically, everything we know now, we didn't know back then, and everything we didn't know back then, we know now. So I thought it would just be really fun to look back at this announcement video that James Gunn made 3 years ago and just see like how much has changed, how much has come out, how much has fucking been canceled. And looking back at this video, the first thing I remember so fondly is around like maybe November, December of 2022, he was saying that like in January we would get more info about this new universe. Like he didn't specify what it was, but like we would get something, we would know more about it. January came, January 1st, and we were like, alright, any day now. 2 weeks into January, we were just like, alright, any day now. 3 weeks into January, we were like, alright, any day now. And it just got to a point where I was like, alright, was he trolling with us or like what's up? January 31st, 2023, literally the last fucking day of January, he posts the video. I'm just like, alright, this dude, bit of a troll. He said January to be fair, but he didn't fucking specify if it was gonna be January 1st or January 31st. And to some extent, maybe that's why we all love James Gunn. At least I think. I don't know. I still do. I don't know where the internet is at these days. I think last time I recall, it was after the Peacemaker finale, so everyone kind of hated his guts. He starts off this video by saying how like the DC universe hasn't really been connected like ever, because you'd always have all these different universes, shows, movies coming out and stuff. I mean, yeah, true, you know, for better or for worse. And he was saying how like his intention now is to like create a connected universe, and it was apparently going to span like movies, animated shows, live action TV shows, and even video games. And for the most part, he has done that. Like Rick Flag Sr. is the perfect example. He was in an animated show, which was Creature and Commandos. He showed up in Superman, a live action movie, and then he showed up in a live action TV show. It's honestly pretty cool, I would say. It's incredible connectivity in my opinion. The gaming one is still till this day like the big mystery, because I feel like he hasn't really said anything about that. And honestly, since his announcement, I don't think there have been like any really games announced. Like all that's really happening is the Wonder Woman game got canceled. That actually was sounding to be pretty sick. And now we're getting this new Lego Batman game that's definitely not going to be canon to the DCU. It's a very like hard thing, I think, to make a video game canon to a movie and TV show universe, but I don't know, maybe it will happen one day. He mentioned it, so it was probably on his mind back then. It might still be on his mind now. So one important thing to remember is when this video came out, we still had 4 DCEU movies coming out in 2023. Shazam 2, Blue Beetle, The Flash, and Aquaman 2. So he has like a little segment where he's talking about them, and some of them, weirdly, he made it sound like they might be canon. Like he says how like Shazam 2 very nicely connects into the new universe. Looking back, it's just such a weird like move to put this video out like right before this old universe is about to end, but there's still 4 movies left. And maybe that's even part of the reason why so many of them ended up flopping that year. He was always hyping up The Flash. Personally, I think it was a banger movie. I don't know if I'm really defending it, because one-man army, honestly. I'm fucking like Captain America at the end of Endgame before all the portals open up, but I think it was a good movie. And he talks a little bit about Blue Beetle, which we know is the one movie that's like maybe well, he always says that the characters can, but not the movie. So I don't know, do with that info as you will. Bro, when he gets to fucking Aquaman, he skims over that shit. Like he's just like
the marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects.
Alright, talk about these 3 movies. Oh yeah, Aquaman's at the end of the year. Anyways, here's the new universe. Like he does not give a shit about Aquaman 2. But alright, getting into the DCU stuff, the first project he brought up was Creature Commandos. And a couple of things we know now is like this show was originally basically going to be part of the DCEU. Like he was already writing the show, working on it, but it wasn't greenlit until he became the CEO. So he was just like, alright, I have the show I'm working on. I'm CEO now. Greenlit. I remember just being so like not excited for the show. I was kind of just sick of like all these Suicide Squad-esque shows and movies. I was just like, alright, whatever. First trailer started coming out. I was just like, it's a really weird start to this new universe. Ended up loving it. It was pretty great. He moves over talking about Waller, a TV show that was planned, which we've heard very little about this show since then. It's honestly probably been canceled. This was originally going to come out before Peacemaker Season 2. It was going to be like something in between the first and second season. We already have Peacemaker Season 2. 2. And apparently, like, the storyline, the comic book it's based on is really good. I don't know, I haven't read it. But I just don't really see Amanda Waller as a leading character. She's a great character, and the actress who plays her is really good, but, like, I just don't know if it's a character I could lead a show. And considering it was gonna come out before Peacemaker Season 2 and also be, like, semi-connected to it, and now it's, like, coming out afterwards, or it might not even be coming out, I think it's honestly been canceled. It's just one of those projects that didn't work out. So, alright, second project he talked about, not happening. Alright, but now moving over to Superman Legacy, the true start to the DCEU. So like the two projects he talked about beforehand, just like a little appetizer. But Superman was gonna be the real deal. Ended up getting retitled to Superman. Fun fact, first movie to be ever called Superman. The first movie with Christopher Reeves was actually not called Superman. It was called Superman the Movie. So you've never had a movie just called Superman. And I mean, it works, I guess. I don't know. Superman Legacy was a pretty cool title. And after seeing the movie, I get where that title came from. But all in all, I like just Superman. He said it was going to come out July 11, 2025. He stuck to that date. And I mean, everything with this movie seemed to have gone really smoothly. So yeah, the first official start to the DCU happened, was great. Now we're getting ready for a sequel. Next up, we talked about Lanterns. I was so happy when I heard this news. I was like, yes, finally, something new of the Green Lanterns. It's a TV show, which I was a little bit like, it seems to be very grounded. I was also a little bit like, but you know, who cares? Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart. This is still happening. It's actually coming out this year. It has been delayed, but all in all, I'm very excited for it. Next up was The Authority. Not characters I knew very well, but like James Gunn said it was a big passion project of his, and you know, he has a very good track record of all these like superhero projects, so I was like, okay, you know, there's probably something to this. I mean, 3 years later, there's probably a pretty big chance this movie was canceled, and James Gunn himself said that he had a hard time implementing these characters into the greater DCU. And we also just haven't really heard much about this movie since then, so pretty big chance it was canceled, and I can't really say I that bummed about that. Next up, we got Paradise Lost, another project that like we just haven't really heard anything about it since it was announced in this video. Probably a slight chance that it might not be happening anymore. Not a project I was excited for. I'm not big on Wonder Woman. I'm not really big on any of her mythos or whatever. So like this show is just not going to be for me. I mean, I hope it's good. I hope it's the best thing ever. I always hope that for any like movie or show I go into, but I just wasn't, I'm still not very excited for it. And it's a very interesting thing to announce. Like I'm guessing it probably has something to do with, you know, the DCEU recently being canceled, and potentially maybe at that point they still weren't sure if they're going to keep Gal Gadot or not. So instead of just like giving like Gal Gadot a third Wonder Woman movie, they were going to do like this prequel to her Wonder Woman. But at this point, I think we're just at a point where we should probably be getting another Wonder Woman movie. Now, The Brave and the Bold is definitely one that has been talked about probably more than any of these, and is one that's definitely still happening. I'm pretty convinced we're not getting the Robert Pattinson Batman in the DCU. I think it's pretty much set in stone. We're going to be getting a new Batman. And recently we found out who's going to be writing it, the writer of The Flash. I'm someone who loved The Flash, and I think a lot of the Batman stuff in that movie was handled really well, so I don't really see why this is a bad pick, but whatever. I was so excited when I heard about this movie because you're gonna have Batman and Robin back on the big screen again since fucking 1997. Why has it been so long? It's gonna be even longer by the time this movie comes out. I want them to go fantastical, you know, I want them to have that Robin in there. Like, I have a lot of hope for this movie, and I hope it's the Batman movie that I just don't know if we've ever really gotten, honestly. Then we have Booster Gold, another show from this announcement that just we've heard like nothing about since it came out. The only thing we've really heard about is that maybe Kumail Nanjiani might be playing Booster Gold, which I'm not saying is like the casting I would want, but you know what? I feel like it could surprise. I feel like when you think of it, you're like, no, but then you would actually see it and you'd be like, you know what? Maybe I underestimated you a little bit. Here's my thing. I was excited for the show when it was announced. I think if like James Gunn works on it and it's in the vein of like Peacemaker, of like the comedy and stuff, I think this could be such a freaking fun show. I mean, the concept of Booster Gold is just so cool. Like he's basically, you know, I'll just let James Gunn do the talking for me here. Yeah, James, you mind?
Next up is a TV series called Booster Gold. Booster Gold is one of comics' really popular cult heroes. He is a fascinating guy. He's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day and become a superhero so that people will love him. It is basically the superhero story of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max series.
Thank you, James. You can go back to working on the DCU now. Please start working on like something with the Flash, TV show, movie. I don't care. Just do something with the Flash. Thank you. So yeah, Booster Gold, I think that could be really fun, but again, haven't really heard much about it since it was announced initially. So, I mean, who knows if it's even happening anymore. Then we have Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Right away, a big change they made was the title. It's now called Supergirl instead of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Like, I don't really mind. I like both titles, but we knew from the very beginning it's going to be adapting the Woman of Tomorrow storyline. I mean, that's a movie we are actually getting in like, what, 3-4 months? So everything with that movie seemed to have went very smoothly. The trailers I thought were really great. You know, it's a great comic book. I have a lot of hope for this movie. I think it's going to be really good and really fun. And then finally, we have Swamp Thing. And wouldn't you know, another project on this list that we've just heard like nothing about since it was initially announced. I mean, we knew it was maybe going to be a little bit horror-y. We knew it might feed into the larger story of DCU, and that's like about it. I mean, I think it would be really cool to get a Swamp Thing movie. I think he's a really cool character. You know, horror aspects and stuff. Like, I was excited for this, but at this point, like, I don't even know if we're gonna get it. Alright, so that was everything we got from that initial announcement. Honestly, it was a pretty cool slate. A couple of, like, weird choices here and there, but all in all, you know, I was excited for it. But now that we're here 3 years later, looking back, I'm just wondering, like, was it really James Gunn who wanted to announce this, or is this just something that he had to because some other higher-ups were telling him to? Because, like, again, it's just the fact that we haven't gotten so many of these projects. We haven't heard much about them since they were initially announced. And also the fact that this came out, you know, before the DCEU officially ended. And looking at where we are now, a few of them we already got. You know, Creature Commandos, Superman came out, Supergirl and Lanterns are coming out. But like other movies that we know are coming out is like a fucking Clayface movie. To be fair though, James Gunn has said himself that this wasn't part of their initial plan. It's just someone gave a really good script and he was like, alright, we should do this. Maybe they went with Clayface instead of Swamp Thing. That's low-key like my suspicion. Because to some extent, like the description of them sounds very similar. There's also Dynamic Duo, which recently was confirmed to not actually be part of the DCU. After previously James Gunn said that he was trying to see if he can implement it. It doesn't really lower or upper my excitement at the moment because I just still don't really know what the movie like is, how it's gonna look and stuff. But it's still gonna be, you know, like another something with Robin. I just really like Robin, so I'm like, alright, let's see what it is. I'm waiting to see more from it, but I hope it's gonna be good. And then of course next year in 2027 we have Man of Tomorrow coming out, which is just looking to be another banger. Like you got Brainiac coming in, and such a big turnaround on a sequel like 2 years after the first one, which is just so freaking refreshing because we just don't get that these days. And other than those, like right now I don't know like what else we're getting. At one point we're gonna get a Sergeant Rock movie. Oh, I guess we are getting Creature Commando season 2. That's another thing. I feel like a lot of people would agree that it's like not how like they would start a new DC universe, but you know, we're only in the first year, going to the second year. Like I think it has been more good than bad. And I guess, yeah, in the next 3 years, we'll see, like, what more projects we get, what more will be announced, like, from this initial slate. Are we ever gonna see any of these? And, yeah, I mean, all in all, yeah, it's another 3 years of the DCU.